What is poppin' YouTube? Week 4, we're looking to Monday Night Football, but I wanted to do kind of a week 4 takeaways, look at some waiver wires, a little bit different of a video. I know I really haven't put out one of these recently, so I kind of wanted to dive into that here. First player we got to talk about, of course, is Christian McCaffrey. Absolutely looking like an elite level hero RB that we had. Of course, we've been waiting for him to emerge into this. You drafted him first overall like the last 3 seasons due to injuries, due to other things. But I mean, when we're looking at him this week, absolutely insane fantasy football statistics. I don't know what else to say. Christian McCaffrey might have the greatest fantasy football season for running back of all time. For those of us that were drafting Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase over CMC, I think looking back on that was warranted. But CMC is on an absolute tear. Shout out to CMC for having an absolutely great week 4. We're going to move to a few more guys, and we're going to do these kind of fast and quick hitters. Josh Allen, Stefon Diggs, both absolutely crushed it with 36 points for Josh Allen in PPR and Stefon Diggs with 36 points as well. If you had the Josh Allen, Stefon Diggs stack, you're feeling like a happy camper today. Sorry to see what they did to the Miami Dolphins, but both absolutely demolished. AJ Brown with 38.5 fantasy points in PPR. Him and Jalen Hurts were definitely cooking, and there was even potential for a few more fantasy points in this game. I know there was a catch that they ended up not counting for AJ Brown. He wasn't able to haul that into the end zone. He could have even had a more insane day for AJ Brown. Nico Collins. I told a lot of people to start other players over Nico Collins this week, and I was wrong. I'm just going to be completely honest. I was wrong on Nico Collins. 35 fantasy points. Absolutely insane. You probably sat Nico Collins if you listened to me this week, depending on who you were debating. Like if you were saying Nico Collins versus Amari Cooper. I just, in my right mind, I couldn't even put Amari Cooper with DTR behind Nico Collins, and I was clearly wrong. 35 fantasy points. We're going to be correcting this week, and Nico Collins will definitely be in play. If Montgomery from Thursday Night Football, he's getting the touches. Jahmyr Gibbs definitely can just not be started right now because of the workload that Montgomery's getting. 121 yards, 3 total touchdowns, and 2 receptions for 34 fantasy points. Dan Montgomery's a freaking star. Then we're going to talk about these next 2 guys in the next 2 games. Puka and Anthony Richardson, these 2 high-profile rookies. Anthony Richardson, he does seem like a league-winning quarterback where you were drafting him in the 8th, 9th round of your drafts. They just continue to use him like the Philadelphia Eagles use Jalen Hurts, where he's getting the rushing touchdowns, but he also has looked very decent throwing the ball through there with 200 yards and 2 touchdowns this week. Enough to be said, Anthony Richardson is pretty much a must-start quarterback. He's performed exactly how you wanted Justin Fields to perform, even though Justin Fields did perform pretty good today. But let's talk about Puka. Just on an absolute unreal tear, catching every pass thrown in those way. I know Scout Hansen on Red Zone today compared him to Linsanity. But if we look at what he did today, 9 receptions, 163 yards, and 1 total touchdown for 31.3 fantasy points. I mean, Puka, I don't know what's going to happen when Cooper Kupp comes back, but I just can't imagine that Puka gives up this elite level ceiling that he's continued to show. I think Cooper Kupp's just going to open up more things for Puka. I think this offense is going to be absolutely dynamite. I know people are starting to argue that Matthew Stafford just loves zeroing in on one guy only. Robert Woods was a top 10 wide receiver with Cooper Kupp in that amazing season. So I'm just going to say this. Puka, we like Puka. He's going to continue to be high. We like that for him. Some other notable, really great performances of Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, both with 27, 28 fantasy points respectively, both bounced back. Good to see that elite level upside for them. You did draft them in the top 5 rounds. They are league winners. We like that for them. Kyren Williams, again, just 27 fantasy points. This Rams offense is so potent. You have Kyren Williams, Puka, must starts each and every week. DJ Moore finally broke out, had that great connection, 27 fantasy points, 8 receptions, 131 yards, 1 total touchdown this week versus Denver. We did like to see that for DJ Moore. I don't think DJ Moore is going to be necessarily the league winner that we thought he had the potential to be, but I think DJ Moore, if you got him as your wide receiver too, huge upside. Devon Achane absolutely passed Raheem Mostert. Devon Achane played 60% of snaps today, ladies and gentlemen. 60% of snaps. He's a must start. 27 fantasy points. I think he's going to be a league winner. I mean, he's already looking like a league winner, and so hopefully you got him off of waivers last week. You spent all the fab on Puka, you spent all the fab on Kyren, or you spent all the fab on Devon Achane. We then can talk about Justin Jefferson, 26 fantasy points. Mark Andrews also had a really big day. Derrick Henry had a big day, and Jalen Hurts also had a big day. We can continue going on and on. CJ Stroud also looked really good, but that's not why we're here. We are also here to talk about some waiver wire options for you, because you always want to be thinking about those waiver wire options, especially as we're looking ahead. We're going to be releasing another more in-depth waiver wire video tomorrow, but I'll just flat out say it. If you did not get in on Devon Achane, you didn't get in on Puka in week 1, you didn't get on Kyren Williams in week 1 or week 2, there's no reason right now that you're looking at the waivers, and if you have all your fab, you're going to be sadly disappointed, because this week, and unless something happens crazy in the Monday night game, there's just not a lot of good options this week on waiver wire, and that's kind of what we see. You kind of, as you go through the season, it gets a lot more sparse on the waiver wire, so if you saved up that fab, you probably don't want to be spending it this week, but we're going to be talking about a few guys that you could be targeting. Jaleel McLaughlin for the Denver Broncos. Javonte Williams goes out with an injury. 72 yards, 10.3 yards per carry. He had a 31-yard run. He's only 2% rostered in the leagues, and Javonte Williams apparently has a hip injury. And so while the Broncos came back to win, of course, against the Bears, Jaleel McLaughlin acted as the primary backup more than Samaje Perine. So like I said, 7 carries for 72 yards. He also caught 3 targets for 32 yards and a touchdown. Now, do I think Jaleel McLaughlin, if Javonte Williams is out this next week, is going to absolutely blow off your roof? He's going to look like Devon Achane for you? No, I don't think that with Jaleel McLaughlin at all, but he is someone that could be interesting for you if you need RB help, but it seems like there's plenty of RBs out there, so hopefully you got a Zach Moss, you got a Kyren Williams, someone like that in the last 2 weeks, so you don't have to be in this position. Moving on to my next waiver wire target to potentially be looking at is Romeo Doubs. He's more than 50% rostered, so this kind of breaks my rule of I like to talk about guys that are below 50%. So if he is available in the league, he's someone that I would check out. 9 receptions for 95 yards on Thursday Night Football, and he had 13 total targets. I think the impressive part is he got 13 total targets, even with Christian Watson catching the touchdown. Now Luke Musgrave wasn't on the field, so we still need to see what that target share is going to look like when all of them are out there. I think Romeo Doubs is an interesting player as well. My next guy, like, do we need to say enough? CJ Stroud. Like, if he's still out there on waivers, just, I don't even care. I typically do not like to add backup quarterbacks, but if you can add CJ Stroud as your backup quarterback, especially like in a 12-man, a 10-man league, I don't care. This guy is producing at all-time rookie levels right now. Like, you can make the argument that he's a top 10 quarterback right now as a rookie, which is absolutely insane to say, both in real life football and in fantasy football. So go see what it's going to take to go get CJ Stroud. I love to pick him up on waivers. I know he's like 45 to 46% roster right now. So I would go see 306 yards, 2 total touchdowns, 53, 1 out of every 2 passes he's completing. I mean, that's what he looked like in college, but right now it's absolutely insane. I just know it looks really bleak right now on the waiver wire. I know I just mentioned some guys. We're going to throw out a few more names for you. Tyjae Spears would also be someone that's interesting. He's only 23% roster. We talked about him as a mustache on Saturday. Still believe he would be a really great target for you. Keaton Mitchell for the Baltimore Ravens had a really nice run this week. We also said he was a mustache. A lot of people didn't even know who Keaton Mitchell was. He performed really well in preseason. He is also someone else that I would be taking a look at. But right now off the top, it's just bad. It's just bad out here in the waiver wire streets. But we're going to help you win some fantasy football championships. So hopefully you have depth. Hopefully you can then make some trades. Like I said, tomorrow we're going to be doing a little bit deeper into some potential waiver wires. We're talking trades later this week. We're going to be talking must start. So I want you around on this channel. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Excited to have you in the community as we're building the best fantasy football channel from the ground up. And I will catch you on the next one. Peace.